Hello kiddies, it's your Captain Ween speaking again, and today I'm going to edit a video of a flight that I took down to Wilson's Prom, and I'm coming back here past Cape Lip Trap, and I'm cutting inland to the bottom of Anderson Inlet, and I will fly down Anderson Inlet over the township of Inverloch, over our house, and then line up for a straight-in approach on runway 27. So I've rigged up a camera in the cockpit obviously this time. The rigging was a little bit flexible, so there is a little bit more shaking in the video than what I would have liked, so I've got a bit of fine tuning to do with that, but at least it gives me the opportunity to actually watch what I'm doing when I'm coming into land and talk you all through it. So I might use some of the techniques I did in the last edit as far as fast forwarding some of the more mundane parts of it, but I also want to see if I can add some still photography into this as well. So once I've safely landed, I might give you a look at the flight plan that I flew via Cloud Ahoy, and also some pictures from down at Wilson's Prom and some pictures of my Cessna 180. So I hope you enjoy. I'll fast forward this next little bit until we get to Anderson Inlet. So here we are approaching the bottom of Anderson Inlet where the Tarwin River flows in, and on the port side of my plane is Tarwin Lower, and then up a little bit further on the port side is Venus Bay. So I love coming back home from this direction and just flying low and slow up Anderson Inlet, although tonight I had to keep it 1,200 feet, which was the circuit height, because I was running out of daylight a little bit, so I didn't want to muck around too much. So at this stage we're probably still 12 nautical miles away from Bunurong Field, so haven't yet made a radio call, but that will be coming up. I'd just say something like Bunurong Field and Inverloch traffic. Romeo Golf Charlie is 10 nautical miles to the southwest at 1,200 feet. Inbound for Bunurong Field with an ETA at the circuit, and let them know whatever the ETA is. So there's also an Inverloch airstrip which is just north of the Inverloch township, so I always use both of their names in my radio call, but make it clear that I'm inbound for Bunurong Field. So that's about it at this point in time. I must be checking my phone very quickly to see that the video is still playing. This is the first time that I've had the video recorder set up inside, or the GoPro set up inside the cabin, so I know I'm just taking a photo of the sunset. So and singing as always. Just making sure I'm on the right radio frequency there, and just adjusting the throttle, so probably bringing it back to 20 inches of manifold pressure, and then winding the prop into 2100 RPM just to start to preempt that landing configuration, and starting to trim the nose up just to bleed off a bit of airspeed. And at this point in time I'll put the mixture rich as well, so I like to get the plane prepared as early as I can. So just going through that process at the moment as I approach the township of Inverloch. I'm setting up for a straight-in approach here on runway 27. It's probably my preferred runway at Bunurong Field. It's grass and it's uphill, and you often get a right crosswind, which is ideal for a tail dragger. So that's my preferred runway. I took off from that probably 50 minutes ago, so there wasn't a lot of wind on tonight, and therefore I didn't bother to overfly to have a look. I could tell by the way the plane was flying and the fact that I'm basically flying in a westerly direction, as you can tell from the sun. I could tell that there would be a slight crosswind from the right, but it wasn't anything to be worried about, so I knew I could handle it. I was effectively on about a 3-mile final for Bunurong Field, so just pulling some power out at this point, pulling the manifold pressure back to 15 inches, trimming the nose up, and just working at the right time to bring in some flaps. So I had a good profile down to the runway. I didn't want to bring the flap in too early, or it just takes too long to get there. You slow up too much. But you'll see up here that I bring in 2 stages of flap quite shortly. Still just trimming the nose back. There's 10 degrees and 20 degrees of flap, so 10 degrees doesn't do a lot at all, so you go straight to 20 degrees in the 180. I'm right over the top of our house at this point in time. Down to about 12 inches of manifold pressure. So when you do a straight in approach, you try to work out what would be your base leg and what would be your final. So I'm considering that I'm right onto final now. Put the prop into full fine in case of a go around. So I'm really set up in the landing configuration at this point. Looks like I thought about a 3rd stage of flap, but not quite. Just trimming the nose back again. There's the 3rd stage of flap coming in now. This stage I'll start to look at the windsock. It's not crabbing too much, but I let it crab all the way down. If it's a really strong crosswind, I try to land on the side of the runway that the wind is blowing from, so that when you kick out with opposite rudder, you've still got a fair bit of the runway to land on. So just trimming the nose back again. Really starting to get that airspeed down now to probably about 65 knots at this point in time. More trim, so I come over the fence at about 60 knots. Fly right down into ground effect. It's a beautiful runway, this 27, slightly uphill. And then just working out the right time to flare. So it was a beautiful smooth touchdown in the end. You hear the stall warning lights, warning indicator on, so I was right at the point of stall. Pop open the cow flaps and kick it around and backtrack runway 27. So that was one of my better ones. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll try to now get some still videos of my plane and the flight that I took, and a little bit of the scenery down at Wilson's Prom.
Love-struck Romeo sing the streets a serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Find the streetlight, steps out of the shade, says something like, "You and me, babe, how about it?" Juliet says, "Hey, it's Romeo, you nearly give me a heart attack." He's underneath the window, she's singing, "Hey, lie, my boyfriend's back." You shouldn't come around here singing up at people like that. Hey, anyway, what you gonna do about it? Juliet, the dice was loaded from the start, and I bet, and you exploded into my heart, and I forget the movie song. When you're gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong, Juliet. Come up on different streets, they both were streets of shame. Both dirty, both mean, yes, and the dream was just the same. And I dreamed your dream for you, and now your dream is real. How can you look at me as if I was just another one of your deals? When you can fall for chains of silver, you can fall for chains of gold, you can fall for pretty strangers and the promises they hold. You promised me everything, you promised me thick and thin, yeah. Now you just say, oh, Romeo, yeah. You know, I used to have a scene with him. Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry. You said, I love you like the stars above, I love you till I die. There's a place for us. You know, the movie song. When you're gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong, Juliet. Can't do the talk like the talk on the TV, and I can't do a love song like the way it's meant to be. I can't do everything, but I'll do anything for you. I can't do anything except be in love with you. And all I do is miss you and the way we used to be. All I do is keep the beat, bad company, and all I do is kiss you through the bars of a rhyme. Julie, I do the stars with you anytime. Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry. You said, I love you like the stars above, I love you till I die. And there's a place for us, you know, the movie song. When gonna realize it was just that the time was wrong, Juliet. In a love-struck Romeo, you sing the streets of serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Find a convenient street light, steps out of the shade, he says something like, you and me, babe.